Why in the world is Sean Payton talking about his two middle fingers? We can thank Zach Bye for this one. Welcome into your Denver Sports Daily for June 12th. Let's go.
Taking you through your morning headlines, it's Denver Sports Daily with Rachel V. Hill.
I can definitely tell you yesterday I did not expect to be talking about Sean Payton talking about his two middle fingers, but our very own Zach Bye got Sean Payton cracking some jokes when he asked Sean about how he deals with the conversations going on outside of the Broncos facility. Take a listen.
No, I think that I have two middle fingers. I've gotten better with age not using them. And I think it's more, and I would say this has changed for me. It's more inward focused relative to our own team and what we're doing relative to, as you get older in this, you don't waste the calories on certain things that I might have, back in 06, 7, 8. I don't play a lot of video games, but you got X amount of battery life and energy, and you try to use it where you think it's best going to help the team. And so you learn over time to not spend as much on the things you can't control or certainly lists if that concerned me, we wouldn't have drafted Bo Nix, where we selected him, if I was paying attention to that. And so that's that NFL train that no one knows who's driving, and you got to pay attention to it, but you just don't want to hop on it, or you just start making decisions, and we still don't know who's driving it. It's just going. And so really paying attention to your gut, your experience, and what you're seeing. Those are the things that drive me now.
There's one thing you can definitely not say about Sean Payton, and that's not that he doesn't have confidence in himself, his ability, and his thoughts. That is for sure. I thought the most interesting thing that came out of what Coach Payton had to say yesterday was, of course, if he listened to everybody else, then he would not have taken Bo Nix at where they took him. That has been making headlines all afternoon, all evening last night, and even this morning. Also on Sean Payton, in case you missed it, do you guys remember on his end of the year press conference how he talked about how he accidentally called the wrong play because he couldn't see? Well, he in fact did have corrective eye surgery to make sure that he was up to date and ready for this season. Now, moving on, because we've got to talk about Courtland Sutton. Will he be at training camp? He was at mini camp. We didn't know if that was going to be the case. He was on a podcast last week, says, yes, I will be at mini camp. But for training camp, he ends up telling the media, we'll see. We'll see what happens. Take a listen.
If that stalemate persists, might you not report for training camp, or do you plan to be around training camp?
We'll see. We'll see what happens. Got a month to be able to, get things situated. Hopefully things get situated because, as you all have heard, and I will continue to say, this is where I want to be. This is home. This is where I want to, go hoist the Lombardi Trophy. This is the place where I want to be able to retire. This is a place where I want to hopefully, be able to, put enough out, once my career is done, that I can, hopefully be able to have a bid at the, Bronco Ring of Honor. But, those are all things that, have to be earned. And hopefully I'm able to have the time to be able to, continue to showcase that, I'm capable of being in that caliber of people.
We're getting so many mixed emotions, mixed statements when it comes to Courtland Sutton. And listen, I applaud him for getting up in front of the media. He actually wasn't supposed to talk to us yesterday. There were 3 other players who were named, and Courtland Sutton all of a sudden showed up. And I feel like it's because he wanted to get some things off of his chest. Cecil Lammy and I dove into everything about the Courtland Sutton 10-minute press conference. And I just want to highlight a few things that really stood out to me. And then you can go watch at 12 p.m. for a bit of a deeper dive into it, because this is one of the biggest talking points that we're going to have of the offseason is wide receiver number 1. Is he going to show up? Is he going to be the leader in the locker room? What is that going to look like? He was asked, of course, about the NFL Network report coming out that he wasn't going to be at OTAs because of the contract negotiations that were going on. And he did confirm, I don't know who talked to them. He didn't actually answer the question about if that was true and why he was not out there, but essentially he said, I don't know who talked to them. So it kind of leads me to say, like, yes, it's true in a sense, but maybe not all the way. And he also mentioned that he said they are at a stalemate, meaning that they're not talking at the moment, him and his team, and then the Denver Broncos, which is very interesting. But he, of course, goes on to say that he wants to be a Denver Bronco for the rest of his career. He wants to bring a Lombardi trophy to the city of Denver, and he feels that he has so much more to give as well. One thing that's like pointed out to me a little bit is he was talking about how he has watched a lot of film on Bo Nix and while he was away. So that tells me that one, he is still committed. He's not looking to 100% just ditch and leave and get out of town. He's still committed because if not, you wouldn't be watching any of this film on any of your quarterbacks. You would just be saying, hey, when I get there, we'll see what it looks like and that sort of stuff. So it gives me a little bit of hope that Courtland Sutton, yes, is still committed to this team. Now, here's where things get really interesting. Courtland says, I've been told that the game plan is for me to be a part of the future. Then adds, I've been told other things. Like, so you're getting mixed messages as well from the Broncos management. Like, and I applaud him for coming out and saying this. I even told Cecil Lammy yesterday. There's more often times than not that any player that comes and talks to us, they've been told a bunch of stuff and gone through media training to not really give us answers, but to tell us the truth in a sense. And I feel like this was super honest of Courtland Sutton and something that we don't see a ton of. And I applaud him for that. I applaud him for being honest with Broncos country and being like, I've been told I can be a part of the future, but I've also been told other things that he most likely is not going to be a part of the future. One of the other things that I did like is that the quarterbacks are getting together a group, kind of like a planned getaway like they did with Russell Wilson like the past 2 years where they went out to San Diego and such. I don't know where they're going to go or what weekend this is going to happen, but I love that they're all still getting together, going someplace, working out without the Broncos there, without any of the training staff, going to dinner and doing all those type of things. A few other things that I thought were interesting from his press conference. And again, we do a deep dive into all of these things and how Court actually looked yesterday as well. But the other one was he wasn't actually willing to comment on what he got done on his ankle, which I thought was a little interesting. Most of the time they'll be like, oh yeah, they changed up this or they shaved off a little bit of this bone sort of stuff. Even when he was asked exactly what was done, he just didn't answer. He just mentioned again that he got hurt in the last game of the season last year against the Raiders and that he got some work done out there in Florida. So interesting. He was also asked if he considered not coming to minicamp. He said it was considered, but wasn't highly considered. So there is plenty of stuff coming out from Courtland Sutton. Cecil Lammy gives his opinion. I give mine on what we think this means for Courtland Sutton. Plus, if we think the Broncos will actually sign the wide receiver. So make sure you tune in at 12 p.m. Mountain Time for another episode of Coffee Break. It's going to be a really, really good one. I promise you, you're not going to want to miss it. We'll move on, though, to the Browns because Amari Cooper was a no-show for the first day of the team's mandatory minicamp on Tuesday. Head coach Kevin Stefanski said the absence was not excused and that the team was in quote-unquote dialogue with Cooper and his agent. Cooper is heading into the final year of his current contract and is looking for a new deal, much like Courtland Sutton is. Let's be honest, there's a lot of them right now. The price tag for a star receiver has skyrocketed this offseason with players like Jefferson's getting new deals. Jalen Waddle, Devonta Smith are all signing new deals. So skipping out on minicamp, going to get that $101,000 fine for doing so, but they're hoping to get a contract extension in there. Again, it goes back to the Courtland Sutton stuff that I feel like we're all going to be talking about is, well, Courtland did show up for minicamp. So does that give him a little bit more of like a, hey, I still want to be out here compared to some of the other players who are saying no? Speaking of another player who is saying, no, I'm not going to go to training camp, Aaron Rodgers will likely have to pay up after skipping the New York Jets minicamp on Tuesday. The quarterback reportedly was absent from the mandatory session without giving reason. According to Jets head coach Robert Saleh, Rodgers had a previous commitment, quote unquote, saying, Aaron and I spoke before OTA started. He's been very good in communication. He's been there the entire time. It's unexcused, but he had an event that was very important to him, which he communicated. That's what Saleh shared. And then Diana Rossini tweeted this out this morning saying, essentially, Aaron Rodgers is skipping all of Jets mandatory minicamp this week because he prefers to be somewhere else away from football. That's his choice. I definitely want to use that on my boss next time and say, oh, I would just rather be in Florida or Hawaii or something. Like, I'm just not going to come. Sorry, boss. Good luck filling my role. Rodgers will be subject to the fines totaling $101,000 for missing all 3 days as well. This was also some big news that came out right after Denver Sports Daily yesterday. Christian McCaffrey has been revealed as the cover athlete for this year's Madden game. The 49er star will grace the cover of both the standard and deluxe editions of Madden NFL 25. He's the first running back to appear on the Madden cover since Adrian Peterson and Barry Sanders in 2014. The game will be released August 16th. Now, if you're a Shannon Sharpe fan, then you're going to be excited about this one. ESPN is keeping him on the air for years to come. The First Take co-host has signed a multi-year contract extension that includes an expanded role on other ESPN programming. Sharpe joined the network last August after a 7-year run co-hosting FS1's Undisputed. So congratulations to Shannon Sharpe. Obviously, a lot of people love him for his time here with the Broncos. I don't know exactly how I feel about all of his stuff on ESPN. Like, he definitely gives good takes, so don't get me wrong. But sometimes I feel like he gets puts himself in some sticky situation, even on his podcast as well. He's had some very unique times. We can just put it that way. So very interesting. We'll end up seeing what's happening. I'm going to be curious to see where he ends up essentially on the other ESPN programming. So we will wait to see for that one for sure. Okay. This one, I don't know what I'm going to do, everybody, on the 4th of July. Joey Chestnut won't compete in Nathan's hot dog eating contest over a deal with rival brand Impossible Foods, a company that produces plant-based substitute for meat products. So this decision has sparked controversy among fans and commentators, with many expressing disappointment and questioning the legitimacy of the contest without Chestnut's participation. Chestnut expressed his disappointment and love for the event, while also revealing that he does not have a contract with Major League Eating or Nathan's, and the ban is based on new rules regarding other partnerships. Major League Eating released a statement saying, "We are devastated to learn that Joey Chestnut has chosen to represent a rival brand that sells plant-based hot dogs rather than competing in the 2024 Nathan's famous 4th of July hot dog eating contest." They went on to say, "Joey Chestnut is an American hero. We would love nothing more than to have him at the Nathan's famous international hot dog eating contest, which he has dominated for years. We hope that he returns when he is not representing a rival brand." Joey has won 16 titles, with his best finish in 2021, where he ate 76 hot dogs with buns in just 10 minutes. Makes me wonder, though, I've always tuned in, obviously, to see how Joey's going to do, if anybody can even come close to rivaling, which nobody ever has, and how many he's actually going to eat. So I wonder how much the numbers are going to go down on the competition that's going to be here in just a few short weeks, everybody. So buckle up. But yeah, I'm like, what am I going to do on the 4th of July? Will I still tune in, or is it no longer that big of a deal? I remember last 4th of July, I was getting ready to go tubing up in Golden down the river. We were trying to find tubes and we were driving all over the place. And here we still had the competition on our phone because, of course, we had to see what ended up happening with Joey Chestnut. So we'll see if I end up paying attention this year. Let me know in the comments if you will be paying attention, because I'm very curious as well. Last one for you. Basketball Hall of Famer Jerry West has died at the age of 86. West led the Lakers to the 1972 title, was the inspiration for the league's logo, and had been serving as executive board member for the Clippers since 2017. We, of course, pass our condolences on to Jerry West's family, and of course, rest in peace. All right, everybody. Fun stuff. I'm about getting ready to head out to Broncos here in just a little bit. Of course, that's going to be starting at 11 o'clock. We got actually the schedule for you real quick. I believe we've got that graphic. We've got, practice at 11 a.m., head coach Sean Payton talking at 1:30 p.m., and then select players available to the media as well. Let's see. I'm very curious. Saw an interview with Julius Thomas by Kay Adams yesterday. She said that there are lots of stories out there that Zach will be our starting QB. Amazes me how reporters make things up. I'm so glad you bring this up because, of course, we're out there every single day. I can tell you right now, if Sean Payton makes the decision to have Zach Wilson be the Broncos starting quarterback week 1, I know nothing about football then. That is essentially it. He's not even in the conversation right now between Bo Nix and Jarrett Stidham. Those two look like the number ones right now. It should be a quarterback competition between the two of them. If somehow Zach Wilson ends up being the guy, I don't know what he sees, if I'm going to be completely honest. It's actually been kind of fascinating. And I don't mean to harp on Zach Wilson at all. I truthfully mean that, but he has just not looked good. And yesterday, a lot of people didn't look good. There were tons of dropped passes out there from wide receivers, from running backs, from all sorts of stuff. So there was a ton, but Zach Wilson, I can't imagine a world where he is the starter week 1, but there's still plenty of time before week 1 of the NFL season. Who knows, things could change, but yeah, I'm just going to say right now, I would be absolutely amazed. Thanks for the memories, Court. Make sure you tune in. I give my opinion on if I think the Broncos will restructure Courtland Sutton's contract or if I don't. And Cecil Lammey does agree with me. So 12 p.m., make sure you tune in. That's going to be a really good one. Congratulations to Mr. Sharp. Yes, congratulations to Shannon on his extension of his contract with ESPN. That's really cool to be able to see him. Again, I do think that the shows and stuff that he does is really good. He just sometimes puts his foot in his mouth a little bit. Let's see. Coach starts Wilson, then throws everyone under the bus. Let's hope that just doesn't happen. We don't need that happening. Okay. We just need to go out there and try and win some football games. And I appreciate Sean Payton's honesty too when it came to what does he think of the outside media talking about the Broncos. And I like that he stuck with his own guns and kind of said, I listened to everybody. We wouldn't have drafted Bo Nix, and Bo Nix looks really good, you guys. He only had one completion yesterday. He looks really solid. And actually, if you go back and watch, believe yesterday's edition of Coffee Break, Andrew Mason talked about how he looks like the best rookie quarterback he's ever seen out of the Denver Broncos at this stage right now. That's some high regards coming from somebody who is so dedicated to what he does, and that's Andrew Mason. So plenty of good stuff. But you guys, I love you all so much. Like I said, I'm getting ready to head out to Broncos. I'm going to go get some sunscreen on me. It's going to be a very hot one here in the Mile High City, but I appreciate you guys spending just a little bit of time with me on your Wednesday, and we will be back. Like I said, 12 p.m., Cecil Lammey and I kicking off everything, deep diving into Courtland Sutton's, media availability yesterday where he got a little spacey. So make sure you tune into that at 12 p.m. And then we'll be back at 10 a.m. tomorrow morning for another episode of Denver Sports Daily. Bye, everybody. Get back to work.